Hi, for this edition of Simply Stated, we'll be talking about something quite simple and sort of delightful, which is canned salmon. If you go back to my show, which was overly in-depth and maybe almost too in-depth, the Thought Project, just so you know, on YouTube, WKC, there was an episode where I referred to him named Cersei, making a big deal about eating salmon, canned salmon, back in Iowa, and preparing it in a way that was completely disgusting and gross. She didn't take the bones out. Kids choked. Adults choked. She served at church meetings and events, ostensibly as someone who's supposed to be a pastor of the church herself, and made even little animals sick and cough. Worse, she always insisted on putting ketchup in salmon cakes, canned salmon cakes, which may actually be one of the worst ideas ever for preparing salmon, which is an overly heavy tasting fish that actually needs light contrasting flavors like lemon juice and dill and mustard to make it taste better, which just about everyone knows. I actually had debates about this with people when I went to the DC area, because sometimes the way food is prepared is so much more important than people think. Bizarrely, she insisted religiously and ritualistically on putting ketchup in the salmon and never taking the bones out, thereby causing me to grow up being someone who didn't really like salmon until I got old enough to go out and get some of my own and prepare myself and get away from her, which is a whole long story that I put together in the Thought Project, just so you know, which was a federal case. And her behavior probably still is a federal problem today. When I don't have to make food, right? This morning I made a lovely canned salmon recipe where I took basic rice, cooked it with butter and olive oil and onions. The canned salmon itself, cooked it with butter and olive oil too. And I put a whole bunch of different light herbs on it. No ketchup. And I put it in a bowl with a whole bunch of fresh cut vegetables. And then I put what is probably mostly called yum yum sauce from Korea on it. It's the tastiest thing I've ever had. Really fresh, lovely, wonderful use of canned salmon. If you're watching this video and trying to think what is so incredibly radical about simply preparing canned salmon in a way that's tasty, well, salmon has omega-3s in it and a whole bunch of other nutrients that are good for your heart and heart. So her direct attack on salmon and people consuming a cheaper form of salmon was actually an attack on people's heart health and generalized health, and frankly an attack on people in poverty. There was also the additional fact that she was directly trying to encourage people to eat poorly. Worse, after talking with a number of specialists in intelligence issues, it turned out that she was using the bones in the fish to create signals back and forth through the animals and people when they got sick and choked off. Like, she was literally using it to pass intel for the Russian mafia, otherwise known as what's called today the KGB in the past, and today modernly called the FSB. So some people would say, frankly, preparing salmon properly is an act of defiance, especially if you make it without ketchup. People, I don't think anything in the world tastes worse than ketchup and poorly prepared salmon patties. Salmon is not turkey. It is not beef. It does not have any of the same properties of poultry or beef or even pork. And it's actually a tough to cook fish to make it taste good. But it's a very healthy one. So if you get nothing else out of this episode of Simply Stated, I'm going to be doing some doubles today. I want you to understand the importance of defying the odds to eat properly and tasty food. And this has been another edition of Simply Stated.